Lamar. I wanted to make a quick video because I don't think you're going to be back until maybe Friday, and Friday's pretty much a virtual day, so I probably won't see you until Monday of next week. So I wanted to make a little video, that way you know what's going on for this chapter and kind of go over what we talked about in class today. So this chapter is all about body planes. Body planes in like directional terms and body cavities and body quadrants and that kind of stuff. We talked about in class today how if you're getting ready to operate on somebody, you cannot use, if you're getting ready to operate on somebody, we don't typically use terms like north, south, east, and west. You wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to operate on the appendix today and it's north of the stomach, or something like that. It just doesn't sound right. We talked about how as far as the body goes, we have almost like a different language or different directional terms that we use. The first thing we talked about is when you put the body in anatomical position. Anatomical position is like the general point of reference. So what does that mean when the body's in the anatomical position? Like I told the kids, it literally means when you stand up, okay, and you can't see my feet, but my feet are like evenly apart. They're not like way apart. They're not like smacked together. They're just kind of like normal, evenly apart. And my hands are like this, and you can't see, but my palms are out. So your hands are not like way out to your side or anything crazy. They're just like this, with the palms out though. So I'm just standing like this. That's the anatomical position, and that's usually what we talk about. If you're gonna operate on somebody or do an autopsy or anything like that, that's the point of reference, is you put the person in anatomical position. We did learn 2 new words that I put up on the board, and what I will probably do is I'll take a picture of my board. If you see me looking that way, my dry erase board's that way, and that's where I wrote everything that we talked about today. So I'll take a picture of my board and put it up on Google Classroom too, so you'll have a copy of it. We did learn the anatomical position, which like we said was like that, but standing up. We also learned 2 words that are not in the notes that you would need to add to your notes, and the kids added them to the notes. As prone and supine. We see if you lay somebody like a patient, if you were to lay them on their stomach, they're considered prone. If you lay them on their back, if you just lay them on their back, that's supine. How I learned it in school, I told the kids, was you're supine on your spine. If you're supine on your spine, that means you're laying on your back or on your spine. So supine means on your spine, laying on your back, and prone means laying the patient on their stomach. So we talked about that anatomical position. We talked about the 3 body planes, which are transverse, mid-sagittal, and frontal or coronal. We talked about like if you took an imaginary line, like if I was standing up when I told them. So if you took an imaginary line and you put it like right here, like through the midpoint of my body, that would divide me into an upper half and a lower half. Also, side note, I told the kids my favorite chapter because you can kind of see stuff using yourself as an example. But if you took a line and put it right there, that would divide me into an upper half and a lower half. We used words like inferior and superior. If it's something that's below something, it's inferior. If it's something that is above something, it's superior. We use terms like, superior. I'm like superior to you, I'm above you. Or you're inferior to me, meaning like you're below me, beneath me. We used expressed like we told them. I said we came up with our own examples. Like I told them, I would say that my nose is superior to my mouth because my nose is above my mouth. I could say my mouth is superior to my chin because it's above my chin. We said that my chin is inferior to my nose because my chin is below my nose. What else do we say? My hips. We could say my hips are inferior to my head or my brain, because my brain's up here and my hips are down here, so my hips are below, so they're inferior to my hips are inferior to my head. We use the terms like our shoulder and our elbow. You could say that my shoulder is superior to my elbow because it's above. So things like that. In class, the kids would come up with their own examples. Then we learned that. We also did say that. So that's your transverse plane. Divides you into an upper half and a lower half. Your mid-sagittal plane would be if you took a dotted line, and went right down the middle all the way down. That would divide you into a right half and a left half. So you may see something that says, what body plane divides you into a right half and a left half? That's the mid-sagittal plane. It goes straight down. Each body plane gives us directional terms. Like we said that the transverse plane, the one we just did, that gives us the directional terms of superior and inferior. The mid-sagittal plane gives us directional terms like lateral and medial. If it's towards the midline of the body, it's medial. If it's away, out to the side of the body, it's lateral. So lateral means towards the side, Medial means towards the middle or the midline. We said our nose was medial. They're like, oh, your nose is medial, but your ears are lateral because your ears are out to the side of the middle part of your body. They said our shoulders would be lateral. And I said, yeah, your shoulders would be lateral because they're out to the side. I used the example a while back. I got in a bruise on my arm right here. And like we said, I said, it's my bruise that was on my arm. Would that be lateral or medial? And they said, oh, it's lateral. It's to the side. If I would have injured my arm or got a bruise on this part of my arm, it would be medial because it would be towards the middle of the body. We also did the frontal or coronal plane. So if I took a blade or a knife or, a dotted line and did like this, right here, it would divide my body into a back half and a front half. So that's the frontal or coronal plane. Would be if you went like, and did a slice like that, it would divide you into a back and a front. There's two words. There's ventral and anterior. Ventral and anterior mean towards the front. Dorsal and posterior mean towards the back. We said if you think of dorsal like a dorsal fin on a dolphin, you got that fin on the back. So dorsal, the dorsal fin of the dolphin is on the back of the dolphin, and so dorsal means back. They said like our sternum is the bone that's right here. It's also called your breastbone. They said, oh, well, your sternum would be anterior to your spine. And I said, yeah, your sternum is in front of your spine. They use the term, they're like, oh, your nose is anterior to your spine. I said, yeah, that's right. Your nose is towards the front and your spine is towards the back, which would be posterior. So we talked about that. We talked about the words superficial and deep. If something is towards the surface of the skin, it's superficial. If something is away from the surface of the skin, it's deep. So we said our organs would be considered deep. Heart, stomach, all that kind of stuff would be considered deep, away from the surface of the skin. Our ribs, we can feel our ribs. So we said our ribs would be superficial, towards the surface of the skin. Our nails would be superficial, because you can see our nails are right here. Our veins, or like our arteries, it just depends. Our veins, some of our veins are blue, and you can see them, so they're real superficial. Your arteries, you typically would be deep. You don't really tend to see them so much. I'm just looking at my board to make sure we didn't miss anything. Oh, we said cranial. Cranial means towards the head. So if it's something that's towards the head, it's cranial. If it's towards the tail, it's caudal. Where your tailbone's at. So we said if it's towards your tail, it's caudal. We use terms like proximal and distal. If it's far away from something, it's distal. So if it's far away from the point of reference, it's distal. If it's close to the point of reference, it's proximal, like approximate. Like we said, okay, if our shoulder is the point of reference, is our elbow proximal or distal to our shoulder? And you said, oh, it's proximal, it's close to. I said, well, what about our wrist? Is our wrist proximal or distal to our shoulder? And we said, oh, it's distal, it's further away. So proximal and distal mean. We talked about how you can divide the body into quadrants. So if you took and put like a cross on your stomach, that would divide you into the right upper quadrant, the left upper quadrant, and then the right lower quadrant, left lower quadrant, and the different organs that are in there. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little idea or a little help with what we talked about today. I will put up the picture of my dry erase board on Google Classroom so you can see. We literally talked about all that stuff, and I kind of wrote it on the board as we went, so to kind of give you a good idea of what we talked about in class today, and hopefully you're not missing too much. And I hope to see you soon, hopefully on Monday. Talk to you later. Bye.